So I will go ahead and get started. I think we all know each other here, so there's no need to do any introductions or anything like that. Thank you, Isaac. Messing with you. No. That's just like an inside plug. Like Isaac typically shows up for our events, and sometimes he's the only outsider from the collective that's here. So I'm just messing with that. No, so this will be really informal. We'll just go from artist to artist. I'll start with Tess, Trevor, and Zaire. Really thank you for the three of you for the work that you've done during this short window of time. We acknowledge that this is just the tip of the iceberg of the work that you're doing. Hopefully you'll continue to cultivate it, and if we can support you in any way beyond the walls and time of your residency, please let us know. But Tess, if you could come drill. It's just a simple question. What we'll do is we'll go around to each of the artists. I'll ask them a few questions, and then after Zaire, the three of them together, I just want to open it up for anyone in the view if you have a question for them. And I'll ask their peers, their collective peer in the Goodyear Collective. You should have a question for whoever you were walking through this process with. Simple question for you. Tell us about your process, the work, and what inspired the work.
Yeah, I think there were kind of two large components to the residency. I think there was maybe three. Producing the work, revising the work, and then thinking about how to exhibit that in the showcase. So what I exhibited in the showcase is something I've never done before. Basically, I exhibited how I revised one poem and showed those revisions on these walls. And that's something I've never pulled apart revisions to see how they would look pulled apart like this. And I think some of the fun things of that was discovering lines that, oh, this definitely isn't working. But I see there's almost like a narrative in the progression of the pieces themselves.
What do you learn about yourself in the process, if anything?
I think maybe more than learning new things, it's just like reaffirming things I already know about how I work. Like for me, revising is such a layered process, and also a process that excites us. I'm constantly taking away and rebuilding and reshaping, and I think that wall especially exhibits that because I have the first draft and the current draft and a draft between that shows everything I did to get to the current version. And if you look at it, there's probably only 20 words really retained from the first version.
And writing is such an isolated thing. What does it mean to be in residency with two other individuals, and you can feel their energy in the building, you can hear their energy if they're playing music or tinkering on anything. Did that speak to you in any capacity?
It's funny because I think I thought as a kid, growing up as I wrote, that writing was very isolating, but I think as I've written into adulthood and further, it doesn't feel isolating to me anymore. And I think that's because I've been really intentional about fostering communities, which is the pleasure of discovering a community like Goodyear Arts, where there is that adjacent work happening, even if it's not I'm not pulling lines from Trevor and Zaire, usually.
If you had 6 months versus the window of time that you had, how would this morph, evolve, or a year?
Yeah, I think what I started with in the residency, and Jeff was working very much alongside me with that, was trying to form these manuscripts I've been working on really for a decade. There's 2 manuscripts I keep toggling in between. And I think maybe going back to your other question, I think one of the discoveries of this was maybe that there's actually a third manuscript working alongside these. But I think if I had 6 months to a year, I could have seen the fruition of that work more. I had to kind of self-adjust as I was working. I was like, all right, Tess, you're not making a book in this, unfortunately.
Where do you go from here with the work?
That's a great question. Like I said, I've never done anything like this before, and I'm really curious about maybe doing some sort of display like this again. I don't know what that will look like. I think that's part of the discovery.
Cool. Question from any of you? You don't have to be shy. We're a small group.
How close to being done is this room?
The poem?
Yeah.
There are some poems that I will like change words on like 10 years after I think it's done. So I suspect this one probably has a few more years until completion, but I think I can probably get it a lot closer to done within the next 2 years. But I work on so many poems at once. This isn't like a frustrating thing for me. I do think this one could go very well in one of the manuscripts, so that might increase the speed of its revision.
Cool. Going once, going twice.
One more question. Are there any poems that there have been a lot fewer drafts that have come sooner than?
Yeah, every now and then I'll get a poem and it'll just come out and be done on the page, and I'm like, great, it's done. Don't have to do that again. I think that maybe has only happened like twice in my adulthood. But there are some poems that are pretty close that I don't have to do much revision on as well. So those ones are also nice surprises, nice gifts from the universe on the page.
Have you submitted any of these yet for publication, or do you plan on?
There are some. So I think of the new work during this, because I probably revised like 10 pieces, and I think I wrote about 40-ish pages of poetry. I didn't finish counting all the ones I wrote. I think there's a solid maybe 4 poems I could revise to where I felt good about them, but maybe even more. I think that's kind of part of the surprise of revision.
So you did like the cycle, the visualizing
Yes.
your process, and not just you remove the all of the process things in the studio. This but like kind of formal, normalize it, right? Like in visual language. What do you think? Like, is that like affect you for like the future kind of like? Did it give you a different perspective on your work itself?
I think it did. And I think I'm kind of still in the midst of figuring out things to pull from that. One of the things I did when I was like setting up this display was pulling out like particular phrases, usually ones that didn't make it to the next draft that were kind of interesting. Like the murkier words keep their loss blurred. So I'm kind of curious about if I did repeat this kind of process, could I have something where between the drafts there was actually a poem itself coming out with the larger words? That would be kind of interesting. Maybe something I would have done if I had had more time, but I felt these pages were enough in the time I had.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything I didn't ask you want to share?
I think I just have a lot of gratitude for the whole process. Working alongside Trevor and Zaire has been a pleasure. Sarah and Eric answered lots of questions I had via text, so I appreciate them not going wild with that. And Jeff was really amazing as a mentor. And I will sing his praises all day long because he was really generous with his time. And Dia, oh my God, thank you so much for helping me set up this initial display, because I was very sad that week.
It's all good. We all have been good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your work. Open it up to anyone. If you have a question, there's no absurd question, and if there is, we take it anyway. We're Goodyear Arts. We like absurdity on certain days. We'll be clear about that. Any question for any of them, or collectively? I'll start out with a question. So when I think about your work at 3AU, there's this interpersonal factor in it. The poetry that you're doing, the embodied experience that you're displaying in your work, the family heritage. It would be difficult for me as a creative selling that work. Just thinking about my embodiment or my lived experience is now going to be in someone's capitalistic collection. And not that I don't need capitalism to survive, but I don't know if I want my spirit to always be in the places where capitalism is eroding my spirit from being in those places. How are you navigating it? Or how would you navigate that, considering, like, particularly thinking about your work, like this is your family. These are your words and your paintings are your lived experience. So how do you go about that nature?
You want to go first? I don't care. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie about it. It's like, if you want to live, I'll say this: if you want to live the experience, if I tell you this is exactly how I felt about it, and you like it, you must have lived this experience too. And then it's like it's a shared moment. So I feel like that's how I'm able to give them away and not be so close to them. I've made works about like my uncles and stuff like that, and so it's like I've sold that, and it's now in somebody's house, and it's like my uncles are there. So I think that kind of gives them, more life. They pass, so it's like that keeps the conversation going. So it doesn't really bother me that somebody would be interested in buying something that like was a trauma of mine, or let's say a learned experience. I would be like, okay, awesome.
I do care in some ways. So I don't mind selling any of the pieces like at all, but I have to vet you first because I just don't like selling work just because. I feel like if you want to buy my work, it needs to make sense as to why you want to buy it. Like the dollars for me are fine, but I just don't want to sell my work to somebody and it's a weird thing as to why you want to buy it. Like, what is your purpose to have these specific people on your wall? So for me, like, I want to talk to you. Like, I want to meet you. Like, I want to have coffee with you. I want to get to know you and know why you're interested in the work. Like, how does the work play into who you are as an individual? Like, are you just because? What's your purpose to have these specific pieces? Like, if you have a collection, like, let me look at it. I just want to know, like, what's your interest in the work? So for me, like, I'll do a whole process before I sell the work. Especially, like, now if it's something very small, like, sure, you'll take it. But if it's something, like, very big and meaningful, I for sure want to know, like, who you are and, like, why you need it.
Thank you.
I think whenever you put out work into the world, there's kind of a sense of relinquishment. And part of that is like a lack of control. You don't know exactly where your work is going to go or how it's going to shape the people who experience it. But I think being as mindful as possible as to like where I submit poems. Like, is this a publication that resonates with my heart? Does it resonate with the poem itself? And most of the time, I think all of the times I've published, I've had really good experiences where I'm like, yeah, this is right for the poem. Have at it. If it becomes part of the capitalist fabric, I think that's what has to happen because we're all part of it. So I don't have like an heiress money to, discard that from my path forward. So I'm okay. I'm okay with capitalism. Like, move forth into it.
I want to open up. I do have other questions I could keep asking questions, but I want to open it up for if either any of you have anything that you want to pose, or if you want to ask each other.
I have a question for Trevor. I'm really interested in how you use glass and coffee in some of your pieces. Are there other materials you're interested in trying out for future works? Have you thought about what might enter the sphere?
Melted crayon.
You've done that one.
Yeah. I think that's the one I'm gonna explore. You just keep melting them. Find a process to like make them melt by themselves, so I don't have to just like sit there and light. I feel like that would make it crazy, but yeah, find a process to kind of assist that. But that's something I would love to explore.
Can you do like a magnifying glass with the sun?
Have all of them just like lay, and then that would work out for itself. But yeah, I'm lighting them one by one, and they take like a really, really, really long time. But it's like, I want to make something that's like really big, so eventually, but I think that might take months if I'm just going to, use a little lighter. I went and bought torches, tried to figure that out, but we'll see. We'll definitely see.
You should use it here.
Hair dryer? And then like, I want to have them like on the wall, and then I want to just, like a pencil sharpener, I'm trying to build like a mechanism, something, so I could like have them just do it by themselves and just melt.
Rube Goldberg.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And then just kind of like watch it happen, but eventually you'll get there.
In relation to that, for the three of you, is there something you wanted to create, construct, explore while you were here and time just didn't allow, or you figured out during the process, like, I got to pivot? I mean, it happens to all of us. We get into residency, we realize, wow, this is going to cost more to do this, or I don't have enough time for this, or the scale of this is, going to be difficult, whatever it may be.
No, so those denim fabric masks that I was making, I was more, I really liked that process of it, but I feel like it just didn't fit with the work that I was doing. So exploring that more, I would for sure say, like wanting to do way larger scales, but so the sewing machine I got a new like sewing machine, but it just did not work. I don't know why. It was like the ones specifically for like boutique. So I guess if that was working how it should have been, then maybe doing like larger scale books would have been very interesting. Maybe like the size of 3 of these combined together. Doing that one day. So I guess time slipped away so fast. I don't know how 6 weeks just moved by and we're here today. But yeah, so like exploring more of that fabric and like making those into sculptures itself and then doing larger books.
I'll say as an outside observer who popped in from time to time, the 3 of you managed the 6 weeks really well. I think other folks would say like that, I don't know, it's week 4 where they're like, oh God.
Yeah.
And I think what I hear in these questions is that it's the lure of just like, yeah, Goodyear, just experiment and try something, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you have to kind of decide. And you made me like with the mask, I was so excited about the mask.
Right.
And then at the second meeting, I was like, oh, the mask aren't gonna happen, but that's just how it goes. But yeah, I think it's a testament to all 3 of you that you navigated the time really well and managed it and put together a really great show.
Thank you.
You want to respond to that, or?
Yeah, I think we all had kind of the same attitude of just like hit the ground running as soon as we had the keys.
As soon as it got.
Yeah.
Anyone else with a question, thought, comment, concern?
I was just curious as to like the average amount of time that it takes you to make one of these like large, intricate soft sculptures. Because like some of them, the amount of like layers of value, and like some of those pieces are so small. Like I'm just like every time I look at it, I'm like, how long could it have taken? Because there's such attention.
Just the drawing she was doing on the wall. I walked by that a couple of times.
Those take, so you mean the process from start to finish?
Yeah.
Oh man. Ooh.
Be a great time lapse.
Yeah, no. So from just like drawing the workout, that takes maybe like 5 hours. And every time I'm like, I'll do this in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's it. And I look at it, I'm like, wait, what? So that takes maybe like 5 hours. Like to cut out each small little piece is like an additional 5. So I mean, really, this just right here could take like a week and a half, and that's if I have every single day devoted to it. But if I actually put like the backing on the back, it could be like a 2-3 week process for each one, especially to get all of these. Like I'm looking at some stuff now, I'm like, man, I know I'm missing some details on here. So maybe like a 2-week process to finish it. Like if I actually sanded it together and quilted the front, the top quilt, the back quilt, and like the batting in it. So it could be like 2.5 weeks if I spend every single day just devoted.
Yeah. It's just amazing that you have 3 big ones. Like
I wanted to do bigger, but time.
Well, you will do bigger. It's
Yes.
not if, but when.
Yeah, right.
Anyone else is open for it? If you felt intimidated to ask a question during this time, these 3 humans will be around for a while longer, so please pick their brains and ask.
Also, there's a group of us going to Wooden Robot over in NODA, so if you want to come, they're invited as well.
Please join
But
us.
we can have conversation there, and maybe we'll buy a drink.
I hope this
So
three
join
of you
us.
stay in touch with each other beyond the time and space, and maybe it'll turn into something collectively together. That was important for me with my residency group. So, thank you each for coming out supporting a group of artists. Thank you for sharing.
And thank you, Dia, for being such a great guest.
Yes, thank you.
Very complicated.